Hello and welcome back to Elden Ring, or to the roads of Elden Ring, I guess. Today we're crossing the bridge because we did everything on the western side that we could do so far, if I remember correctly. And I think I'm not doing this here. Marking the Shadow Tree fragments because I haven't done this last episode and the ones before that. Nah, I'm not going to do this. But what are we going to do today? We're not going into Castle Ensis, I think it's called. I don't know what it's called. Maybe that's right, maybe that's wrong. We're not going to do that quite yet, but we are going north from this camp or encampment. And we're going a bit south, and we will see how far we will get here. Oh, right, then there's this stuff also. Ooh, that's quite a lot of stuff to cover. Yeah, let's do this right now. We could talk to Freya over here. Because we've... What is this? Because we've fought the boss over here. I think she has new dialogue. If not, then not.
Ah, well met. That was a fine battle indeed. It heartens me that another warrior stands among us. Among the beckoned.
Among us?
Long ago, I was stricken by scarlet rot in the swamp of Aeonia. Immobile, feverish, and in great pain, I was entirely resigned to death. I was left behind, and only kindly Mikola was good enough to seek me out. My wound was swollen and festering, exuding a most pungent odor, and yet he drained the poison from it, despite my wretched visage. Now, I consider this wound my compass.
Well, that's how she ended up here, I guess.
Let us both take kindly Mikola's guidance to heart. May we meet again on the battlefield, brave warrior.
Huh? Didn't I do that already?
Do you wonder why the eternally dour fellow keeps his distance? He's one of the tower's horn scent. I can only assume he fights for his own reasons and carries his own burdens, but we needn't concern ourselves with his affairs. He too was charmed by kindly Mikola and guided here, and that makes us allies. We're not gods, you and I. Even if we did manage to dig up the secrets of his past, I doubt our meddling could ever amount to much.
Right. And I was hoping that this time there was no weather change, but I guess it's getting night here. So let's quickly change to morning, because it's no fun at night. Can't even see shit. And of course it's raining. Of course it's raining. You have to deal with that now. I don't want to prolong things any further. I want to see what's over there on the other side. Looks so ugly, for fuck's sake, with all the rain. I hate it. I really hate the weather system. But okay, so far this bridge was our blockade, or nah. I mean, it's a good cutoff point, right? It divides the smaller area that is still quite big, but it's smaller in comparison to the whole map. It's a small part, and makes things a bit more digestible for the player, right? Because already when you are at this point, or even at the beginning, you're quite overwhelmed where to go. Do I want to go here? Do I want to go there? Do I want to go down here? Right? And you're presented with so many options, but with this ravine here, with the bridge, it's very easy to say, I'm doing everything on the western side first, and then we will see what's going on the other side. And now it's time to cross the bridge. And apparently it's called Ellac Greatbridge. Yeah. And on this bridge, we have a ballista on the end that is firing at us. Nothing new. We've seen this before in, for example, in an area like this. Over here we have a smaller bridge as well, where Limgrave meets the Weeping Peninsula. There's also a bridge with a ballista. And this is nothing different, other than this bridge is a bit longer. We have also soldiers on the side, and a few items scattered around. Nothing, no major item I think though. No Sash of War could be good. Ballista bolts, yeah, this is what is going to fire at you. And then, well, this scenery is something. I wasn't even looking at that for now. But have a look at that, like, of course we have all these spiked fences here to hold horses at bay. But then we see the grim side, impaled bodies. But I kind of wonder if they could have... I feel like the ballista at the end is a bit of a... is a bit of a nerf to this look. Because look how gruesome this looks, but then you're distracted by the ballista firing at you. And you can't really take in this grim sight here. And I mean, the contrast looks so beautiful. Like you have these golden rays coming through. You have the shadow tree in the background with the veil. And then you have these burned and impaled corpses everywhere. Imagine how this would smell like. This whole place would stink. Ugh. But then we fight our way through and we can already see the site of grace there. And another beheaded statue of America. Where we of course have another shadow tree fragment. So let's activate the site of grace. And once again we are in front of a bridge. This bridge leads to, well, this castle over here, or this structure. But we're not going there yet, we're doing everything but this. So I think the east is a bit easier to digest. It's fairly easy to comb through here. So let's do this. Let's do this first. And let's see how far we can get here. What I happen to notice in this area in particular, there are a few areas like these. But in this area particularly, the performance of my PC tanks a bit, so if there are small stutters, please excuse me for that. This just happens all the time. But combing through this camp is already somewhat of a challenge. Not because it's very difficult, but it's very... like you basically have a cross through here, right? You have 4 quarters. You have this quarter, this quarter, this quarter, and this quarter, all divided by roads. So it's a bit easier to comb through there. But it's still kinda challenging to pick up everything. In some tents you can go into... Nothing really here to see. Like on this side there are a few enemies. This weird thing where I don't know what this is supposed to be. It's not really fire, it's something... I mean, if this would have been... Dark Souls, then this would be something similar to Estus, right? But whatever. I don't know what this is supposed to be. Because we have a few captains. I guess there was a cookbook in here. Nothing in here still. Over here there's something on this part, the southern quarter. There are a few interesting items. Or just one, I don't know. We have a few perfumers here. But we also have this chest that is apparently easy to miss, because I missed it the first time around. With a new type of weapon. Always nice to see this. Even though they're quite bad. Oh well, I don't know. They've patched this game. Like, the thing with these recordings is, I'm doing this with the seamless co-op mod, right? So that I can use Cheat Engine without getting banned. But the thing is, every time I record, because I'm doing these weekly, right? So I'm recording... Currently it's Saturday when I'm recording this. But every time I have to download a new version of the seamless co-op mod. It's kinda annoying. But whatever. But this is that camp. Like, this is the camp of Mesmer's soldiers. If we have a look at these soldiers, that's how they look like. We've seen another camp already. The first camp that we saw was down here, in this part of the church. A few soldiers on the road. I don't think there were any here, no. In the city we had, or in Ballarat we had Hornsent, faction type enemies. And of course the Blood Fiends. So we've met basically already like 3 to 4 types of different enemy types, or enemy factions, I should say. Like, we have the common folk, like the black phantoms, so to speak. They're all Hornsent. They belong to the Hornsent faction. Then we have the Gravebirds, and I would also put them in a subfaction of the Hornsent. They're definitely not the same, but they're allied with each other, I should say, I think. Then we have the Blood Fiends, who should be aggressive towards everyone. And we have the Mesmer soldiers, who also should be hostile to every other faction, I guess. There are a few more factions in this whole DLC, but these are the factions that we've seen so far. I don't know what I guess these are also Hornsent. Like the Flies, they were people before. And the Gravebirds are technically the undead faction. They're kind of mixing each other up. The only non-native faction should be... Well, technically the Blood Fiends as well, because they got transformed here. They were originally from this place, but they got transformed. But the only invading force is Mesmer's army, I guess. They're non-natives. But yeah, enough with this camp. Just a few tents, a few impaled bodies. Somewhat hard, but also easy to comb through. We're coming back to this camp anyway, so let's do this later. Because we have soldiers patrolling here up and down. Now we should have a few Blood Fiends here and there. Outside of the camp. Probably lurking around, trying to find an opening, or spying on that camp or whatnot. And then we have this strange place, especially the strange building or structure over here, because, well, it looks like it's part of this castle here. It's not really. I mean, it's part of it, but it's a different way of getting there. But I will have a look at that later on. I guess I will address it right now, or in a short time. but just later what I think about this from the exterior, because I for some problems for some reasons I had problems getting in there. But let's quickly comb through this part here. We're going underneath this bridge of this castle here, where we have a few beds. But in here we find usually an item that is quite useful for this particular area. Because if we go in here, in this cellar, we get the Spelldrake Talisman +3, which tells us, of course, in good old game design faction, or fashion, not faction, that in there's a bunch of magic. And we've also already seen, once I went in there and came out again, we could see the atmosphere change, like the lighting change to a more bluer hue, which also indicates magic. But let's go through this area first. There are a bunch of soldiers, of course, and a bunch of explosive barrels. And well, what will they do? They will throw firebombs at us. And then they're also stationed on top of these walls. I will talk about this fort over here at a different time, but what I don't like about this fort mainly is that there is no entrance. You would expect there to be an entrance over, like maybe down here on this side, maybe a gate that is closed or something, or you would expect this rudimentary bridge to act as a sort of entrance where you had to climb up here or go through a small cave to end up there and then finally go over there. But that's not the way how you get in there. You actually drop in there from this cliff up here. So you need to finish this area first. Well, technically not, because you could also go up here, but let's not talk about this quite yet. This is quite the not really difficult encounter, but somewhat annoying encounter, because you can't really get to these soldiers up there and they will constantly throw firebombs at you. The only way of getting rid of them is either magic, well-aimed magic, or a bow, and of course it's raining again. Oh, it's even storming right now, holy shit. Like 90% of the gameplay here is rain. Isn't that nice? Let's see what else we got here. Okay, nothing interesting. There's probably a chest down here as well, if I remember correctly, or I might not, it doesn't matter. Like, this small passage is... Luckily, it's a kind of mix-up. If it's fun or not, that is debatable, but at least we have something to dodge now. Like, there's a new hazard here. It's not just enemy after enemy, it's enemy and bombardment and enemy. That's kind of a mixer, which is fine. Now we are going in a somewhat empty area. What I don't like about this part, if you haven't grabbed any map, like my map is of course fully explored right now, but if you don't have all the maps, somewhere here it's cut off. Like, this part is cut off, where north to some line here it's unexplored area where you need a map for, and then it's kind of hard to navigate. But if you see this part from here, you can see that you can't get up there. It's just a small little forest in between all these cliff formations. But if we write down here, we can see these coffins and these statues here, and this always indicates a crypt or catacomb type area. We also have militia here, Not vulgar militia, but shadow militia. And then finally the entrance to the catacombs, I think. Let me quickly go inside and activate the Site of Grace, because eventually we will have a look at these, maybe, as well. Because these catacombs, the catacombs in this DLC are quite unique. I was searching for a fitting word there. But they're all somewhat unique to each other. Every catacomb area has their own gimmick, which is appreciated. Compared to the other types of dungeon type areas. These ones are actually somewhat fun to go through, in my opinion. I'm not a fan of the Elden Ring dungeons, for the most part. Especially not on subsequent, in subsequent playthroughs. Did the weather really change, or is it just loading the storm in? Because if going in and outside of a dungeon was enough to change the weather, I'm all for it. Because this now looks much, much better. And I also really like this type of plants they've chosen, or especially the color scheme. Because while in what is it called in not Limgrave, compared to this world here, like Limgrave was fairly neutral, I would say. Caelid of course was red, Weeping Peninsula was Limgrave just with more rain. Liurnia was the very blue area, but then let's compare it to the Altus Plateau over here, which is completely yellow. It's a similar style of nature here, but for my taste, the Altus Plateau was too yellow. And here it's basically a similar type of plant they've chosen, if not the same. But it's more shadowy, right? It's yellow, but it's more like a orange golden color. It feels like there's the rain again. It feels like they've chosen the same kind of plants, but changed the color scheme to a less aggressive color. And I really like how the rain completely gets rid of the color in all these plants, and it's all grayish now. I really wish you could, like in the cheat engine table, you could change the weather on how you want it. But sadly the one that I'm using, nah, can't do that. It's already late, holy shit. How long am I talking already? Okay, it's morning again, let's teleport to this point. I guess from this point now, because we've done, I don't want to say half of it, less than half. We've covered less than half of the whole, yeah, okay, it's not even close. That's quite a lot to explore still. I guess I have to be a bit quicker, but up to this point it's all the same. There's not much to talk about here. This is quite interesting, because I can explore a whole new area, because here it's getting quite more open. I might do the poison area later, in a different video, in the next one or so. Yeah, I think I cover everything up to this point here. But I don't know, I've lost my train of thought. Now it looks good again. I appreciate it. And I also like the verticality here. Like looking at this camp. what should be a fairly... I mean, this whole land is not flat, right? But we're at the plain area here. This was the somewhat flat land, but even there, for the road, they've chosen an indent. And it continues here. Same with the color scheme. They've chosen a more tasteful, less aggressive color scheme for this game. Or for this DLC, I should say. Which I appreciate. The sky also a less muted gold, where in the lands between it can be quite sickening. Here it's a bit better, I feel like. Even though the clouds, if we have a look at the clouds, they are green right now, which is quite strange. Like there's this hue of green and you can't really see the sky. It's all full of clouds, which has this unnatural feel to it, right? Like you wouldn't really see this in real life, at least I don't, where I live. If we have clouds, it's either gray or there are a few spots we can see the blue through. But nothing like this, like everything is full of clouds and they have a strange hue to them constantly. It's quite unnerving if you're not used to it. But now, what do we do first? I think we quickly explore this part here. So we're going down. This is where it divides again, if we have a look here. This is where the road leads to. But then we have this area down here, and this is what I will do now. There are quite a few items here that are of interest. Maybe not here, but there is one item in particular that you might want to pick up, which is down here, but we will get there. And let's not get ahead of ourselves. Here's the end of the camp, clearly. And now it goes down here. Where this is the area that we've seen from over there. From the plain area, where we've seen the soldiers and blood fiends staring down each other. And they're still doing it. Let's see. Right item, nice. They're still staring down each other. But once I get close, let's see where the trigger point is for that. Or if it even happens. I don't know if it's a visual thing or if there is a trigger box, because we're quite close right now. I wonder if it's ignoring us. Yeah, okay. They're really just fighting each other when the player character is visible, which is quite interesting. It's a different kind of trigger they're using apparently then. Let's quickly go... From here it's even clearer how black this stuff up there is. There we have the thorns that we've seen. And then this clouded in a shadow or shadowy mirage. What is going on now? Is it getting foggy? Of course it is getting foggy. We have already progressed 2 minutes into the game. Here we have the spread crossbow, which is another weapon that you might want to pick up. It's like a... I mean, the name is program, or the name is... Like, what the crossbow is doing is literally in the game, it's spreading a bunch of bolts in a very wide pattern. Which is very strange for a crossbow, but, well, it is what it is. And we have the aftermath of this fight, or the fight's still going, if I wouldn't make myself visible, but I'm not. But let's just imagine these two factions fighting each other. I wonder if we could have seen this from the other side now that I think of it. Huh. We will never know. Is this a new structure? This is indeed a new structure, a new type of dungeon. The unique part about this dungeon is, about these ruined forges, is that there is no boss inside. This is a bossless dungeon. Quite unique, right? But in these things you will always find a or multiple cool weapons that you want to pick up. Oh, okay. Thought it was raining for a second. So this is this path secured. So far, we crossed the bridge. We had this little encampment here. Then we had a dead end with a catacombs type of dungeon to the north. To the south, following this ravine over here, we have another dead end with another dungeon. And now there are two paths left. We could go down this path underneath this natural stone bridge here, which leads us into a poison area. And then we have this path over here, which we will take now. Or will we? I think we might have time for this poison area, so let's do this one first. We're standing here, so we can quickly comb through this poison area down here. What I really appreciate about this DLC is the verticality. I think I've said this before, but this game is extremely vertical. For example, we're on the plain area. Then we can look down there, we can see all of this stuff from up here. There's quite the height difference. But then we also can look up these cliffs, and there's another path where we can go. Like we have this height, then this plane, and that plane, and the blue one is even lower than that. So we've already 1, 2, 3, 4 different different planes, different heights or whatever, which is quite impressive. It makes the whole area look quite difficult to navigate, and it's quite difficult to navigate, especially on the map, especially if you don't know the game yet, if you haven't played through the DLC yet. It's quite daunting, and the map is doing a not that well of a job to tell you where we are. For example, right now we're... Oh, it's getting foggy again. Hooray. We're going underneath this bridge, but when we look on the map, we could also be on top of the map right now. That's not really helpful, which is unfortunate. But let's see what we can see from here. Of course, we have the poison swamp with our friendly, or maybe not so friendly, Miranda flowers that we know from the base game already. Over there we have a shack, and then we can go into this there where it's brown now, where it becomes brown. But let's see. I was talking about verticality. Let's see what we can see from here. If we stand here. First of all, if we look at the map, we can see this area. We can see this area a bit. And then towards these mountains here. So let's see, there are a few trees down here, dead looking trees. Kinda hard to see what's down there, not really much. Then this is already full of clouds, this area. Like we have a few mysterious looking rocks, very spiky looking rocks, and then this also very spiky looking mountain over there, which is quite ominous. But so far the game is not really telling us much. A lot of it is obscured by these clouds and very mysterious looking. So for now we don't know what's going on. And if we look at the map, this area we can't even see. Like, it's obscured by these rock formations that are in the way. Which is quite nice. It keeps these areas here quite hidden, because if we look at the map, it looks quite alien here, right? Similar to this, we don't know that these exist yet, but they look quite alien right now. But keep in mind, we don't have the maps yet, so you're always wondering if you can get there, but it looks so unique compared to the rest of the game that we've seen so far. This must be an area that we can explore. And what is that in the background? What is that? Is that a wing? Is that a part of a wing? What the fuck? Yeah, we will have a look at that in some other episode. But it's nice how much the game is already telling you without telling you, if you know what I mean. Like, it's showing you things that make you excited for what's to come. Way, way in the distance. Here we have a new mechanic, a spirit spring that is blocked. How unfortunate. Where we need to find the corresponding pile of stones. But let's quickly go to this shack and see what's going on here. The Elder's Hovel. We have the Talisman of Dread over here. Let's quickly read the item description. Talisman depicting the dread dragon of the Jagged Peak, whose roars cause the peak's molten fury to boil and churn. Raises the potency of magma. Bale was the foul dragon's name, a terrible harbinger of destruction, whose challenge to the ancient Dragon Lord ended in grievous mutual injury. Right. And then we have this dude. O Bale, Tyrant Drake, do your wound yet ache? It's your fury still to crest its zenith. Hurry, hurry, and lay it all to waste. Lay waste to the proud, conceited each, every last one of whatever. I don't know. But yeah, apparently Bale is an entity here who challenged the old Dragon Lord, Placidus Hex, and they were equally as injured, I would say. If we go back now, which is quite well done, I must say. We have the stone pile here, the spirit spring got freed, and we could use it now. But let's quickly talk about how this spirit spring has been implemented. Because you come from here, then you go to the hovel, grab your items and your lore, and then you have the ascent to the pile of stones for you to explore another area, technically speaking. Like, we could jump up here and then ultimately end up at this castle here, and from there we could technically skip this castle here. We can jump up to this place and then keep going, and we are on the other side of the castle, which is quite nice. And these golden... I really like this color. Like this golden color. It's not too yellow heavy, too whatnot heavy. It's quite the nice light, I must say. This almost beige. Of course, we have traps here. And I'm poisoned, hooray. Traps means there is more militia here. For some reason. We also have the opportunity, when we are up there, to jump down these stair-like rocks to end up where we are going right now. So there are two ways getting down here. One by jumping down these rocks here, and the other one by going through this poison area. And where do we end up ultimately? In the water. And there is a small cave here, which we can enter. There's not really much to do here. I don't need to pick up these items. They're not of any value. Looking at this, it has... like with these rocks, looking how they look, this kind of reminds me of a more natural and better looking version of the Doors of Pharos from Dark Souls 2. Sadly, there is no such strange and mysterious area down here, but there is something else. We have a Site of Grace here, of course. And let me show you where we are right now. Let me get rid of this poison effect. Right now we are in this river, channel, whatever. A completely new area. And we can go upstream. I mean, I say stream, but it's... I mean, I guess from there it becomes a stream. We can go upstream, or we can go downstream. So even more options here. But the bad part about this is, if we have a look at the Ellac River Cave, Site of Grace, it looks like it's up here, so it's quite... like, not only, like, we went up here, went down here, underneath this part, in a circle basically, through this mountain, and ended up in this river. If this is not convoluted and quite hard to grasp, if you just look at the map, then I don't know what's going on. Like, the map is not a big help, I must say. And of course it's raining again, holy shit. This game really likes, or this DLC really likes their rain. I hate it. I hate it so much. But let's continue. We have one path still to travel. And I think I might end it up here, maybe? I don't know. It's quite hard to say. Let's keep going. More soldiers. And then here we have the option to jump down. We've luckily this corpse placed here, and this dude looking down here, indicating that there is something. It's not really worth it going down this way. There's one item that is quite useless down there. I think it's a soul or something. On these formations, not really worth your time. if I say so myself. But then over here we have the Swift Spear, which is a new weapon, which is quite cool. The cool thing about the Swift Spear is that it has, I think, the heavy attacks, like, you do multiple hits every time. Like, it's what the name is, like, it's a Swift Spear. Your attacks will be swift with this one. And then again we have two options, left or right. There's so many options here. When we cross the bridge, do we go north? Do we go straight ahead? Northeast, so to speak. Do we go east? If we go east, we can go south, where we have two options again. Or we can continue this path. Here we have a few options to go down here or up here, and now again we have two options, left or right. There are so many paths that you can take, and I'm so grateful for this. It's such a great experience, but it can also be overwhelming. Luckily this path leads to a dead end. I mean, dead ends are always nice, right? Another Shadow Tree fragment. Another part of the flesh of his body has been left here, and we have this NPC here.
Oh, hello there. Are you the Tarnished? Lady Leda spoke of you. Another Tarnished. Guided here by Mikola the Kind. My name is Teolia. I too am Tarnished, and here on kindly Mikola's account. So, well, here's to new beginnings, I suppose.
Teolier. I really like his armor set, except the mask. I'm not really a fan of the mask, but the rest of his armor set looks amazing. Especially like the coat that resembles Mikola's hair, which is quite creepy, but... or Saint Trina's, I should say. But I really like his armor set.
I'm sorry. But, well, I'm not much good at anything is all. I'm as weak as a kitten and thick as two planks. I've always been this way, since the very day I was born. I'm afraid the only thing I'm proficient in is poison. Sorry.
And we can buy a bunch of poison stuff and the deadly poison perfume bottle, which is good and bad at the same time. The sad thing about this one is that you can't change the Ash of War. But other than that, this is amazing. The rest is amazing too.
So, what can I help you with?
Can't talk to him any more than that, so let's keep going. Let's keep going up. Now it's gonna get somewhat interesting, I guess. And let me know what you think about the upcoming NPC here.
My legs! Each lies a bloody ruin! The pain. The exquisite pain. Bale! Vile Bale! Oh, terror incarnate! hibernate. There is life in me yet. I will soon feast upon your heart. Mark my words, you too shall know fear.
The pain. The exquisite pain.
Well, a weird person. So far, and I don't really get it, right? I don't really get it. I mean, I'm talking about the memes. Is this character liked or just memed on? I can't really tell. Because while I appreciate the acting, it also feels quite it feels quite, I don't want to say overacted, but like like theater, right? And it kind of feels out of place. I know it's supposed to be theater, because, well, we will talk about that later, but this character is a homage to...
No more. I am sorry. I repent. Oh, come no closer. Oh, the horror. Please. Savage me no further. Oh, oh.
an homage to Moby Dick. But still.
Please spare me your cruelty. Please spare.
Okay. You done now? Thank you. Quite the experience, this character, I should say. I mean, on the one hand, it's nice to see someone like this, and I don't really like the fact that the game is telling me that this character's name is Egon, because we haven't talked to him yet. But like, it doesn't feel... This character doesn't really fit in this game so far. In this DLC, it doesn't really fit. He feels like the odd one. He's the theater kid, basically. I mean, yes, he has no legs, like they got ripped off, I guess, and his arms are savaged as well, as he said, but I don't know. Another Gravebird armor piece here. A bunch of Gravebirds here as well. But the interesting part about this area up here is this tower in the middle. So let's get there right away. I don't think there is anything interesting up here other than the tower, except these Gravebirds having now flames in their mouths or beaks or whatever. So they are quite a bit more dangerous. They have a projectile attack that deals quite a bunch of damage. Quite a lot of damage. The red sky looks amazing again. That looks bright, but amazing. But again, what I find so strange about this game, you really rarely see the sun. Like you see clouds that are very bright, but no sun directly. Even if you're, for example, in Limgrave at this beach down here and looking at the sunset, there is no sun. You can see the reflections in the water of the sun, but you don't see the sun, which is quite strange. They should patch in the sun. But here we have the suppressing pillar, which is quite the odd name. What is it suppressing? The very center of the lands between. All manners of death watch up here, only to be suppressed. So deaths are being suppressed. And another ancient ring, smithing stone, very nice. So let's see what we can see from here. This is Castle Ensis, I think is called. There's another furnace golem waiting for us. There's a cathedral up there. Then here we have the Jagged Peak. That is a dragon wing. Oh boy. Can I? It is indeed a dragon's wing. Quite hard to see. Then the red area down there. Another furnace golem burning down there. Something very big in the background. All of that we can explore. Blech. And then all of this we already have explored. And a bunch more stuff to come. Amazing, isn't it? Let's teleport back. And there's not that much time left. Can you shut up? Let me quickly make it day again. Of course it's raining. Still raining. Maybe it stops. It's okay, Egon, you can... Stop repeating yourself. So what's so dangerous here? We can see the dragon imagery here, like dragons only their torso left, one arm left, no head, wings are clipped. What is going on here? Why is this one glowing so strangely right now? Weird lighting. Let's see, there should be an invasion here, but I'm not sure if this invasion triggers. If not, we will do this in... Oh no, it triggers, okay. We get the Ancient Dragon Man. Cool name, I know. The Ancient Dragon Man. And there he is, the Ancient Dragon Man. And he sees us. But he's not attacking us. Great, we can look at him. Dragon form. Sadly, again, one of these not so cool dragon forms. At least the head is better than the one in Dark Souls 3. I mean, Dark Souls 3's dragon form was terrible. The one in Dark Souls 2 was still the coolest. Even though it was a different... whatever. I'm talking about dragons later on. But let's get rid of this one. Let's keep exploring this small area here where this one leads to. There is still already a few things to explore. For example, here we can go down here and look around. There might not be anything here, but there's not really that much here to do except going forward. Excuse me. There might be a few items left and right, but the main thing is this cave. I don't have a lantern. Oh. Where is the lantern? There we go. Alright. And we have the Dragon's Pit over here. Ooh. So this is where the dragon area starts. We couldn't have guessed this. So let's mark this and let's get out of here. And then let's summarize this one's episode. Because we're already at 1 hour, or almost at 1 hour, whatever. And it doesn't feel like much, but keep in mind, I ran through here. I should drink something in the near future, I guess. But it took me 1 hour to explore all these different like paths that we can take. I didn't fight any enemies, I didn't die. So even this bit here, from down here, a bit of this part, took me 1 hour. That's quite a lot. This area is really big and dense. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this from a level design perspective. I don't mind the chair. It's a bit squeaky. But let's start with the bridge. Quite the cool introduction to this place, or with the corpses. It looked quite epic at some point, with the nice lighting that we got in the background going. But also quite the grim sight to this camp of impaled corpses. Sadly, nothing new on the bridge. Another ballista. We know this one already, so no new encounter here. But then we're almost getting overwhelmed with choices. We can go north, which is one way, into the castle. Second way. Up here, which is our third way. Technically fourth, because we can go down here as well. So 4 ways up here. Then a 5th one down here, which splits up into pieces. So 6. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paths that we can take. And like over here splits again, so 7 technically. Over here splits again, 8. So there's quite a lot to do here, and you need to be careful not to get lost, or to not get overwhelmed, right, by choices, because there are a lot of choices, and too many choices is a bad thing. But I think they've done it in a way where you can somewhat easily digest your options if you're just sitting down and look at things, right? Like me on the map right now. Sit down and see what options you have, and then choose accordingly. But for example, if we go into the catacombs, what if this is not a dead end? What if it keeps going and we come out somewhere else? That would be something. Because there is such a thing in this game. There are catacombs that have no end, that lead you to the next area, but we're not there yet. Right now we have a lot of options where we can go. Luckily, a few of them are dead ends. So from here, now that we've seen so much, now that we have explored a lot, how many options are there? Let's say we have done these catacombs and the ruined forge lava intake. Let's say we've done these. How many options are there for us to continue? Castle, one option. Then the river. We're down here in the river. North and south of the river, or upstream or downstream, which are 3 options now, with the castle of course. Then we can go through the Ruined Forge lava intake, not, what am I talking? We can go through the Dragon's Pit, which is not a dead end. So this is the 4th option, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And technically we can also jump up here, which is our 5th option. It's not getting less. Like, there are quite a few options left to proceed, right? Which is amazingly overwhelming. Imagine you don't have that much time, right? You have a normal job. You have to work every day, except on the weekends maybe, or maybe even on the weekends, whatever. And you only have like effectively 2 or at maximum 3 hours to play every day. Let's say 2. This can be quite messy. This is quite overwhelming, because not only you have to do real life stuff, you have to think about real life stuff, but then you have to keep these things in mind. Luckily you can mark, luckily you can come up with a cool marking system of things you still have that you still have to explore. So you have the options, and technically you can also write down things physically to take notes, but who wants to do that, right? But yeah, these were the level design options that we have. Enemy variety. Your standard overworld enemy types, I would say. Nothing we haven't seen so far. Except maybe the dragon dude, the ancient dragon man invasion is quite new, I guess. But other than that, nothing too special. Items, there are quite a few good items here, especially if you count the Ruined Forge lava intake and maybe the Fog Rift catacombs. There are quite a few cool items, quite a few cool weapons at least. Don't really know what you get in these 2 dungeons here, but it's still nice. We've met an NPC, or technically 2 NPCs that we have met. Yeah, it's quite nice. So level design, I would say it's amazing, especially with the verticality. The only thing that I don't really like about the verticality in this game is the map, which is not really helpful. Well, or which is only helpful if you already know the game, but by then you don't really need the map. Level design wise, it's amazing. World design wise, what is the game telling us with this camp? This is clearly the camp of the invaders, and they already ran through a bunch of areas and took lives, and they're still standing, like these tents haven't been burned to the ground, so this is the winning force, and we can see it by these cruel sights. To the north, catacomb type area. Not much to say about this, at least not now. Maybe once we go through the Fog Rift catacombs, there's more to tell. To the south, fighting still going on here, so that's nice. Up here it makes a drift into a different kind of theme, away from the Mesmer soldiers and back to, or not back to, but to the dragon area, which is down here. Especially this mountain here it's all dragon themed. In front of us we've gotten a glimpse of it while going underneath the bridge. The hue changed to a more bluish hue, so this might be the magic area. Spoiler, yes it is. We also had this poison area down here, which can be easily skipped with torrent through. Quite a lot of stuff to take in, especially the the stuff with the suppressing pillar, this might have been probably the most mysterious or lore-heavy piece of structure that we have explored so far. I can't really tell you about the lore, but pillar of suppressing or whatever, suppressing pillar, sorry. It feels like something very lore-heavy, right? It feels like something significant. And it might be significant, just not for us as a gameplay. Like, the gameplay doesn't matter. Or the gameplay is not deterred or changed by this pillar's existence, but it's nice to have something like a monument like this in the game, even though it's not really doing anything physically for or against the player. But so far, many options to go. Don't really know where I want to go next, if I want to explore Castle Henses or upstream or downstream. There's so much to do here, so I don't know. Let's see what I'm doing next week then. I hope you had fun watching this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.